You remember all the assholes who were talking about how who apparently didn't learn their lesson from the Bush administration about the Patriot Act, and were like, well, 9/11 is why they did the Patriot Act, so they just have a precursor to do this, and it's going to eliminate all of our freedoms, right? It's going to designate everybody as as an enemy combatant, and you can spy on anybody, which didn't happen in the Patriot Act. And why? Because Democrats and some sensible Republicans said fuck that and scratched that part of it out, not giving the president that authority, mainly because they were worried about how Dick Cheney would use it, and reasonably so. I would say that's a reasonable fear to have, ladies and gentlemen. But Trump just sent a memo, and I wish I had a national security, NSPM 7. Do you guys know what NSPM 7 is? I want to find a copy of it. It's a national security directive, and it's been he issued it on my fucking birthday, by the way. Countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. Now, most people thought of this as an executive order because of how he's just signed stuff and holds it up like a dickhead. I think he even he did one of these, right? There's a difference, though. A national security presidential memorandum, and it's number 7 because there's only been 6 more, are national security designations. They are not just executive orders about how money shall be spent or not spent within the, or priorities within the administration, or directives to his cabinet officials to carry out certain things, which are effectively signed memos from the president of the United States. That's what an executive order most of the time is. No, this is a national security presidential memorandum. It carries weight. And let's see, by authority vested in me as president, I hereby direct domestic heinous assassinations and other acts of political violence in the United States have increased in recent years, even in the aftermath of the horrifying assassination of Charlie Kirk. Some individuals who adhere to the alleged shooter's ideology embraced and cheered this evil murder while actively encouraging more political violence. This was preceded by the 2024 assassination of the senior healthcare executive and the 2022 assassination against Supreme Court attempt against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Which, by the way, can I just throw this in here real quick? The guy who shot the healthcare executive, not a Democrat at all, just any more than Tyler Robinson is. Like, not voting, not members of the voting public. And this one in particular, this person drove across the country with a gun and some duct tape and a hose. I don't know what the fuck they were bringing, like a trunk full of things. And he drove across the country to kill Brett Kavanaugh. And when he got within, I think it was like 6 blocks of Kavanaugh's house, he pulled over, decided he couldn't go through with it, and called 911 on himself. Let me repeat that. He called 911 on himself. He turned himself in. He decided that he could not go through with this plot to kill a Supreme Court justice, an individual. Now, did Timothy McVeigh pull over and make a phone call and go, "Hey guys, you might want to clear the building. I'm gonna reface the front of it"? No. 2 separate assassination attempts against my own life in less than 3 months took place in 2024 presidential cycle. Yes, disaffected maggots. Riots in Los Angeles report reflect more than 1,000% increase in attacks on U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officers since January 21st. Well, you put them in harm's way, and then you stir up violence, and then you're surprised when somebody chucks a can of soup at them. I get that. That's the again. Why are they? Oh, because you've put them you've fomented a mob and put them in the center of it, and they're getting hit with stuff.
And when they get caught, they say, "No, this is just soup for my family."
Right. So, in this, hold on one second. We got Tara joining us. She's in the background. Give me 1 second. In this memorandum, it's just a line of grievances, actually. The political violence is not a series of isolated incidents, does not emerge organically. In actuality, it kind of did. I mean, it's chit-chat online that foments these people rising it up. Ralph organically because his fucking melon is rotten, and so he came up with this dipshit idea. Same thing with Thomas Crooks. Like he didn't. I mean, he kind of got the idea from Alex Jones, it seems, but that's organically. That's not Alex Jones directing him to do it. That's just him hearing it and going, "Yeah, that's my jam." That's organic radicalization, I guess. They didn't call you and talk you into it. It's not MK Ultra. He didn't get phone calls in the fucking middle of the night from InfoWars telling him, it'd be better if somebody knocked off Trump because then we could get somebody in who's really on the team. Culminating sophisticated organized campaigns of targeted intimidation, radicalization, and threats and violence designed to silence opposing speech. Citation needed. Limit political activity, which was, getting rid of the Voting Rights Act might be one of the things. Change your direct policy outcomes, which is how they're defining it as terrorism, because that's part of the thing. And prevent the function of a democratic society, which I don't know if he's turning himself in. This seems like a confession note. A new law enforcement strategy that investigates all participants in these criminal and terrorist conspiracies, including the organized structures, networks, entities, organizations, funding sources, and predicate actions behind them, is required. So this is the idea that we believe they're being funded outside the country and they're flowing money into these things. And so these people are getting support from somewhere, or their organizations are finding these, lone wolves and growing them out of manure. And so we want to hunt those folks down. These campaigns are often begin by isolating and dehumanizing specific targets to justify murder or other violent acts. They do so through a variety of blah, blah, blah. Okay, their common recurrent motivations and indice uniting this pattern of violence and terrorism activities under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism, which is hilarious because Thomas Crooks was an anti-fascist. Neither was Ralph. Neither was the guy who was going to shoot Kavanaugh, who turned himself in. You could argue that Timothy McVeigh thought he was. Hang your hat on that for a while. Timothy McVeigh thought he was anti-fascist. He just thought the fascism was a left-wing fascism. And there you go. These movements portray foundational American principles, blah, 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 blah. And it's just kind of justify. The United States requires a national... Okay, so 2, investigating domestic terror organizations. And this is the part that really fucks shit up. And then I'm going to bring in Tara. The National Joint Terrorism Task Force and its local offices, collectively JTTFs, so much easier to say, shall coordinate and supervise a comprehensive national strategy to investigate, prosecute, and disrupt entities and individuals engaged in acts of political violence and intimidation designed to suppress lawful political activity or obstruct the rule of law. This strategy shall include the investigatory, stand back and stand by, right? This strategy shall include the investigatory and prosecutorial measures set forth in this section. They will investigate potential federal crimes relating to the acts of recruiting or radicalizing persons for the purpose of political violence, terrorism, conspiracy against rights, the violent deprivation of any citizens' rights. The JTTFS, which sounds like one of the organizations they would be hunting down, weirdly enough, when you put it that way, shall also investigate institutional and individual funders, officers and employees of organizations that are responsible for, sponsor, or otherwise aid and abet the principal actors engaging in the criminal conduct described in subsection A and B of this section. Now, that's already law. If you fund or instruct or drive somebody to a terrorist act, you're criminally liable. What he's trying to do is this, and non-governmental organizations and American citizens residing abroad or with close ties to foreign governments. There's a dude in China that he's talking about specifically that they want to put a warrant out for. That's it's almost entirely linked to this one guy. Agents, citizens, foundations, or influence networks, which that's a big one right there. Engaged in violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or money laundering by funding, creating, or supporting entities that engage in activities that support or encourage domestic terrorism. And again, I don't know how you create the direct line, but that's what they're going to seek to do. They'll consult and coordinate with executive departments, agencies, blah, blah, blah. They may, to the extent permitted by law, and again, this is a big part of this because they're going to have to go to states, request operational assistance from and coordinate with law enforcement partners when investigating domestic terrorism. That's what they always do. They always have done this. He's also pretending to reinvent the wheel so that people think he's doing something post Charlie Kirk. The National Joint Terrorism Task Force shall provide regular progress updates to the president. He's not going to read them. The Attorney General shall direct the Department of Justice to prosecute all federal crimes to the maximum extent possible, blah, blah, blah. The Attorney General shall issue specific guidance that ensures domestic terrorism priorities include politically motivated terrorist acts such as organized doxing campaigns, swatting, rioting, looting, trespass, assault, destruction of property, threats of violence, and civil disorder. And that's civil disorder is too broad and will get thrown back in their face by almost any judge. But the rest of them, though, they'll overlay with that. Organized doxing campaigns are probably the one that they're going to go after the most using the internet. This guidance also shall include an identification of any behaviors, fact patterns, recurrent motivations, or other indicia common to organizations and entities that coordinate these acts in order to direct efforts to identify and prevent potential violent activity. So the idea is that we're going to look at how these people act and use the language that people say as a predicate for investigating them further. We will assume that if somebody said something and they did something awful, that anybody who says something like it is also going to do something awful. Beyond see something, say something, we're going to direct we're going to be proactive in going after people for what they potentially say. Now, I guarantee this is 100% left wing. Like they're going to go after left wing violent networks, and people are talking about this. And by the way, fine. If somebody's planning domestic terrorism, they're going to shoot somebody, blow somebody up, start a riot, loot fucking stores. Fuck them. But I guarantee the thing we're going to need to point out is that it will not apply to the Proud Boys or Patriot Front or any of those groups. And that's where, if this goes into effect, what I think Democrats in the House and the Senate need to do is start calling out, these groups to be, call out Pam Bondi for not going after these groups. Commissioner of the IRS will go through that. So they're going to, remember that whole thing about them taking away they were debanking people for the truckers in Canada and how terrible that was? That's what he's saying right here. That anybody that we say or believe or uses the same language as somebody who's engaged in domestic violence or might, domestic terrorism or political violence might, then we can debank them as well. We'll use the IRS to shut them down. All federal law enforcement agencies will investigate with investigating authorities shall question and interrogate within all lawful authorities, and that's fairly broad. Individuals engaged in political violence or lawlessness regarding the entity or individual organization organizing such actions and any related financial sponsorship of those actions prior to adjudication or initiation of a plea agreement. So this is just a step change, but almost no change in the law. Investigations should prioritize crimes such as the following: assaulting federal officers or employees, or otherwise engaging in conduct prescribed in 18 U.S.C. 111, conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. 241, conspiracy to commit offense under 18 U.S.C. 371, solicitation to commit a crime of violence under 18, money laundering, funding of terrorist acts, or otherwise facilitating terror. What does this tell you? It tells you all this shit's already on the books, folks. Again, this is Trump wanting credit for shit that already exists and trying to sound tough to his people, like he's doing something. Look busy. This is the look busy memo. Now, the problem is there are threads in it where it would allow right-wing politicians, like judges, I would say, and other people, and law enforcement who are very Trumpy, to go after people for what they say. And this gives them justification, almost like an authorized use of military force internally. And then the Department of Justice will designate these people as terrorists. Domestic terrorism merits it will be may recommend that any group or entity whose members are engaged in activities meeting the definition of domestic terrorism in 18 U.S.C. merits designation as a domestic terrorist organization, and that would include civil disorder. Again, an unauthorized march is civil disorder. A sit-in is civil disorder. Just so you know, for legal purposes. Domestic terrorism is a national priority. And I'll get in 1 second, Tara, and then I'll, hold on, I'll show you. You can see me now, I think. And can you hear me okay, Tara, by the way?
Yeah, yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, sure.
There you are.
Yeah.
Now you're on my screen.
That's right.
Good looking.
Hi there. Let me give me 1 second. I'll bring you in. and I just want to finish this one little piece, and then I'm sure you're hearing some of it, so we'll talk about that in a second. Domestic terrorism as a national priority area. I gotta say, like, this is what Christopher Wray was saying in front of the fucking Congress 2 goddamn years ago. Domestic sources of terror are more damaging to our national security and more of a danger, more something they watch than anything else. And he did not say right-wing terror. He said domestic. And the reason the right-wingers took it so personally is because they know how much they have in the recent past, January 6th, and how much they want to engage in it. That means they're targeting us. Now, apparently, it doesn't. Now that they think Trump's just going to go after anybody with an Antifa flag or wears black bloc, strip them down and basically hit them with a phone book until they tell them who they work for, they're okay with it. General provision, nothing. And this is the part that's got to stand out to everybody. And I need everybody to lower the pearl clutching for just 1 second. Always. Because even though this is I don't think they have to add this to a national security memorandum, but I think they did it out of habit because they're stupid. Nothing in this memorandum shall construe to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law enforcement department or head thereof, which means they have any law enforcement agency has the right to do or not do this, state, local, or federal. The function of the director of the Office of Management Budget relating to budgetary, administrative, or legislative proposals, not spending any new money on it. It's just a direction, very much like an EO, but they don't know the fucking difference because they're dumb. It will be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations, which means any law enforcement money that's out there for counterterrorism domestically will be used for that. But Republicans have cut funding to fight domestic terrorism because they took it fucking personally. So he's going to have to go and ask for more money if he actually wants to do anything with this, which will be hilarious. And then this memorandum is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any part against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. This is boilerplate that's on the end of every executive order. Along with this, the Secretary of Homeland Security is authorized and redirected to publish this memorandum in the Federal Register. That's just what makes it official as soon as he signs it. That was it. Now, what's the big difference? National Security Presidential Memorandum number 7. I'm going to bring in Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. How are you?
Hi. Hi, we're here. Hi, hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Am I too
Yes,
loud?
you
Am
sound
I loud
great.
enough? Am I
Nope,
good
you're good.
enough? We're all
So,
good. Hi, nice.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So, this countering domestic terrorism thing that he released on my birthday is part and parcel to, they're going to use this like he's using tariffs across the board to solve all kinds of economic issues that he sees as a problem. Ways to force things like pharmaceutical companies to sell less and, drugs for less. Like it almost as an emergency provision until such time as Congress gets off its ass and actually writes a law to do something, or it just falls apart, or the SCOTUS throws it out, which we're waiting on the tariff thing to see if we'll know if they're just bought and paid for effectively in a permanent sense based on the tariff stuff, or if their legacy doesn't matter as much to them as Trump's legacy does. And in the case of Amy Coney Barrett, I don't think it is. In the case of Brett Kavanaugh, I think he reveres Trump more than he reveres his own place on the planet. Same with Clarence Thomas. Alito, maybe not. So we'll see. It's one of the biggest, plates that's spinning right now. But this particular thing, this memorandum is effectively the authorized use of military force within the United States. That's what he wants it to be. Is it legally? No. Does it mean that right-wing cops and sheriffs and stuff won't go to the absolute fringe edge of what it allows them to do? Abso-fucking-lutely. Every soup can thrower is going to get, grabbed by the shirt collar and hit and said, "Who sent you?" Right? That's going to be the argument.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have a lot to say about organized political violence because Trump is the one who's organizing it.
Right.
And we have seen evidence of this here in Portland, which is, again, Not a war zone, not war ravaged, not on fire. And for people who have never been here, I would really like to explain that the ICE facility is on one city block within 146 square miles of this
Mm-hmm.
city. It's the equivalent of someone going and taking some video inside the Port Authority bathrooms and saying, all of New York City is this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm like this one woman Portland
Mm-hmm.
advocate. I mean, I know I'm
Defense
not the only
squad.
one telling the truth about Portland. It's what's happening here in Portland is unconscionable, and that Trump is doing everything that he can to distract from the Epstein files
Mm-hmm.
by doing this. We have to call this out, and I'm frustrated, as you know, because the mainstream media continues to use these videos that you see over and over again. It's dark, there's tear
Yeah.
gas and lasers. What I learned last Thursday and Friday, Donald Trump the White House is paying specific MAGA influencers to come to Portland
Mm-hmm.
and getting them access to the ICE facility that they should not have. So there are two that came to Portland specifically. There's Nick Sorter, and he got arrested,
Mm-hmm.
which is a violation of his parole. So we'll see what happens there. And the other is this woman, Katie Davis Court. They are paid. And Caroline is admitting that, I mean, she's basically admitting it if you read between the lines.
Right.
They're calling them journalists. They are not journalists. I would like to know why the White House cares so much about these two independent
Mm-hmm.
right-wing journalists and their footage more than anything else, because they're not using any other footage. They are somehow establishing these quote unquote journalists who are just
Yeah.
right-wing agitators. They're it's like putting cat turd on the roof of the ICE facility along with Fox News. They are
Right.
giving them laser pointers to use to point down in the crowd and fabricate these videos.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time that this is happening, and this happened, I believe, on Saturday morning. There's a local representative here, Maxine Dexter, of
Mm-hmm.
a Democratic representative, was turned away from touring the ICE facility Saturday morning and was told it was because of the shutdown. She couldn't tour because of the
Right.
shutdown. And the very same day, Katie Davis Court is on the roof of the ICE facility making a video.
Right.
Which is exactly what I did last Friday. I stood on the roof of my building and did a almost 2-hour live stream to let people know what Portland actually looks like.
Right.
These agitators are getting not just paid by the White House. Their videos are being funneled directly to every right-wing outlet. So Newsmax, OAN, Fox News, every influencer who's paid to push
Right.
this bullshit. So, and Twitter is also the only app that's really push. I mean, I'm sure that there's people on, Twitch and Discord who are doing it too. I'm not on those apps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Twitter. I see the difference, the glaring difference between the messaging there and the messaging on Blue Sky, Instagram, Substack, everywhere else. Somebody in the MSM, and I don't know how it happens, because Hal, you know as well, and we talked about this when we spoke over the weekend, which we'll get to in a bit, and why we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody in the mainstream media seems to be at all interested in speaking to anyone who lives here. It's one thing to put our local politicians on the air, and that does matter. It does matter to hear from the Oregon AG. It does matter to hear from our governor, our mayor, my senators, our representatives. But there are people like, well, they're politicians. They have to say this. Well, Trump is saying the politicians are petrified and they're lying because they're scared. And they're not. They're not. Okay. They're sharing authentic. My Senator Ron Wyden shared videos of the Portland Farmers Market yesterday. It was gloriously beautiful here yesterday. And I went to my friend Nancy's future daughter-in-law's engagement party. No, her daughter-in-law. It's her daughter-in-law. It's her engagement party with her future son-in-law. And these families are blending. And it's this beautiful moment. And they rented out a space on the roof of a building that is literally 1 block. They are bagels, by the way, on my shirt chat room. Bagels. Two bagel representing from a people. And we'll get to that in a little bit too. Okay. So the building where we were, and you know Portland, because remember where you were at Dante's?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's on West Burnside in Portland, which is the great big street that divides Portland in half from north and south. Where I was at Southwest Burnside and 13th And that's a block from the Crystal Ballroom, which is one of my favorite venues. It's the oldest venue in Portland. It was opened in 1914.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the middle of all of it, right? It's the same as if I went to New York City and went to the observation deck of the Empire State Building and went, oh, look at this 360 view of New York.
Right.
It's the same. I want to show you, look, the skyline's not on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Land isn't on fire. Bridges still standing. We're all good here. We're having a party.
Oh,
And somebody went, blah, 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 and now the bloggers are like, touch feet, go on the ground. Okay, well, last Friday I took a walk on Southeast Hawthorne, walked on the ground with one of my besties. Saw dogs wearing goggles and people wearing cool clothes and all the things of Portland. But the MSM isn't showing. I'm tagging everybody that follows me on MSNBC. They're not responding. I'm doing all of the things that I can do with my limited range of motion on Twitter. And thankfully, there are people who are good. Like, if you're not following Wu-Tangs for the Kids on Twitter, do that immediately. That's an excellent account, excellent resistance. And they took my video and embedded it in an original tweet to share instead of retweeting me, which is awesome because that's how a tweet gains real traction, is if more people sharing the video of it. And so I would never go to Voodoo Donuts. People in the chat learn from me. Voodoo Donuts for the tourists. If you come to Portland, I will give you recommendations of real donuts to eat. But anyway,
Voodoo Donuts is
cannot.
lovely. Leave them alone. They're fine. It is for the tourists, but that's totally fine as well. Every time I play Helium, I buy a coffin full of donuts for everybody that's there, and I bring it from Voodoo Donuts, and I give them a big cross section of it. It's totally fine.
Well, that's okay. Well, that means that you're treating the employees of Voodoo Donuts better than their employers. They won't let them unionize. They treat them terribly. The working conditions in there are awful. Go to a good donut place. Go to Blue Star. Blue Star has great donuts, or Sesame Donuts, or
Are they?
I'm just saying.
Are they unionized?
Yeah, they're way. I can investigate that, but I can tell you that at Blue Star they are very, very happy people. And they don't
because they haven't tried to unionize yet. Also, it's a donut shop.
I don't know what their story is, but
Yeah.
here's what I know. People who live here know the story of Voodoo Donuts and its owners. Anyway, the point being, it would be great if the MSM would give me 5 minutes so I can be like, no, 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 and no. And why aren't you asking why Harmeet Dillon is tweeting about 2 right-wing influencers and making it all about these 2 people? Instead of Trump being all over the Epstein files? Those are the questions that they're not asking because they have video. And it's always at night, right? Because everyone's like,
it's also the same video over. It's also the same video over and over on a loop and that kind of stuff. Let me
over and over.
Look, I want to trust you, and I think my audience wants to trust you about this, Tara. But I have a real source that we can go to that can tell us what really is going on in Portland, and I think we need to hear. We need to hear from him because he could tell us the reality. Yeah. Here you go.
Today's
is that
podcast and broadcast.
Oh no, that's Glenn
Portland
Beck. Okay.
is
They all look
lawless
the same.
now.
Hold on. Let it play so we can comment on it.
Today's podcast and broadcast. Portland is lawless now. It is lawless. That's a fact.
So I guess they not only they defund the cops, they just don't have any anymore. The courts are shut down. You can't even get a parking ticket. You fill your boots, Portland.
When you now have the governor coming out and saying, I don't believe ICE. I don't believe that there was, some woman that was trying to kill them. When Chicago calls the police back and says you're not to help protect federal agents.
By the way, Chicago is why Portland is lawless, if you follow the logic. Also, the lady who was in D.C., the lady in D.C. who was there to kill ICE people with a buck knife in her purse, and 2 Molotov cocktails.
I haven't heard this.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this.
Looney Tunes.
Okay.
She was in D.C.
Okay.
He's talking about Chicago, and that's why, look, Portland is lawless because 2 other cities. There's a symbiotic relationship.
When you have now cartels coming out with wanted posters offering rewards for ICE agents' death.
Where are they printing these? In the back fold of Mad Magazine?
Know.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't subscribe to Cartel Weekly.
You're in a lawless situation.
Well, then the whole country is lawless or whatever. Well, I don't know why Portland catches shit. Right.
Completely lawless.
Oh, I'll tell you why.
lawless. There is no law. If anybody attacks one of these ICE agents, their fellow ICE agents don't have the right to fight back. Or if they do, they'll be tried under the law of vigilante justice.
There are those who wish to destroy Western civilization. We're not talking about the
one of
people
them.
who wanted to vote for Joe Biden because they thought his policies were better than Donald Trump's. We're not talking about that. We are talking about people who actually wish to destroy our nation and our civilization. One of those groups
you
is
are,
called
but you're not
Antifa.
saying who they are.
They're well-financed by the left.
That's not
So a well-financed. They're an army.
Antifa.
This is the new caravan.
How do you do,
Antifa,
fellow kids in Antifa?
right? Antifa is the new caravan. That's it for the messaging. That's what it is. Now, let me get this straight. Let me be abundantly clear. There is a giant difference between the generalized anti-fascist movement of modern Western civilization post-World War II and people with Antifa flags, because those folks also identify as anarchists. Many of them view themselves as communists. They also specifically define themselves as being pro-political violence. So if you're carrying a flag and you're saying you're Antifa, it's different than being what I would call Antifa in air quotes, meaning that, of course, who isn't against fascism? And I would argue that the people that he's talking about vilifying, that they're peppering us with, they're laying these people over on us. They're saying this is our side, our argument, our belief system, when in reality, it's much more aligned with their kind of like burn all the government down to, shrink it down till you could drown it in a bathtub. That arguably is what the black bloc kids are trying to do as well. So this isn't even a political thing. It's borderline religious, both on his side and on theirs. It's less about politics. Are the actions, the possible actions of people to control their environment and their governance working together, and the limits to which they have that power, or the expansion to which they have that power, whatever the borders are of your ability to politic for your own benefit. But, the fact that, and this is what I want to talk about like us being dragged onto the fucking field and being forced to fight on their territory. Because I'm not going to defend fucking Antifa anarchists because in Black Bloc who are throwing Molotov cocktails at fucking people, or setting fire to coffee shops because, coffee is a sign of the man or some shit. Because I don't want fascism. One of the ways you get fascism is agents provocateur, give the ruling organization the ability to fight back at a higher and higher level. And so they end up shooting into crowds, and you get a Kent State situation. You trigger fascism that way. And some people think they're triggering it so that they can undo it. Like, everybody will see finally that they're fascists because I made them shoot me. That's the theory. Like that, or shoot at us. They're never there when they say it. I would argue that the people who try to do that shit are always online, and but whatever. And then on the other side, they're hoping, and you can even say that, like sending Nick Sorter down there to get arrested just because he's trying to cover it, man. Because it's so violent down there, you can't even stand near the crowd without being scooped up. That's the lie.
That's exactly right. Oh, that's a tremendous part of the lie. And Narachi in the chat says, Tara is way too young of a soul to have such angst. Have some faith in the electorate. Unlike Obama, I believe the common man is capable of governing himself. I don't really, I'm not young. I'm 56. So I don't think that's too young. And I think I've been around long enough to get just slightly jaded in the system. But again, I am literally physically here in Portland, and all of the people who are talking about Portland have never been here for the most. Trump's never been here. Kristi Noem's never been here. All of these people. The only person who has been here from the administration, to the best of my knowledge, is Tom Homan. And he was here for a whole 3 hours, and he went to the ICE facility and he left. And so what he saw of Portland was the drive on the freeway from the airport to the ICE facility down at the South Waterfront, which, by the way, is in a residential area. There are condos and homes and shops and a school nearby. And because of all of this and the tear gas and the bullshit, kids are getting sick and having to go to the emergency room at Dornbecker's Children's Hospital from all of this shit from Nick Sorter and Katie Davis Court and Fox News. And Trump is the enemy from within, fomenting this violence that he thinks that we're supposed to be fighting against. Yes, we're supposed to be fighting against you, fomenting violence on our streets. And what this all comes down to, watching people justify the invasion of American cities to protect Trump because he's in the Epstein files is abhorrent. We are in a shutdown because he's in the Epstein files.
Right.
He's attacking Oregon specifically because of my Senator Ron Wyden going after the Russian ties to Jeffrey Epstein that financed the sex trafficking. All of this is a personal grudge. All of it. And to target us, to distract from what he's done, that's what he's done his entire life. He's using blue states in a shell game, a 3-card Monte of, okay, look at Chicago. Okay, look at Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Okay, look here. Okay,
It's
look
like how
there.
Glenn Beck
Don't
is
look at
talking
me.
about it. It's like how Glenn Beck is talking about
Yes,
it. Like
and every accusation is a confession. Always, always, always. Their gaslight has been broken forever. And so I'm going to continue to keep pushing. And that one tweet of mine about being on a roof because I'm elite and I'm an elite liberal living above the city in my white tower. And somebody, and again, most of the responses are fake and it's really easy to ignore those and block them. But someone was just like, that's in a new part of Portland. Bitch, there's no new part of Portland. They didn't just build a brand new part just for the white people. What the fuck? We have such a vibrant community in Portland of name any community and any minority community. They have representation here and they are welcome. More people are welcome here every day. There are people moving into my building right now. So my personal frustration is regardless, every single MAGA talking point about my city is just a distraction from the Epstein files. Everything the abhorrent use of zip tying children in Chicago. And I was listening to you earlier when I was getting ready. Yes, they want liberals to be outraged, to be like, how dare you do this to children? It's the Trump administration doing this to children. It's Trump's ICE agents attacking peaceful protesters in Portland. And literally, there's a video circulating. This woman is peacefully standing in front of ICE agents talking to them, and they just blast her entire, like, from here to here with pepper spray. And she was in the hospital, and we protest peacefully in Portland. There's this amount of people stirring up shit. And you were talking about them, the anarchists, the black bloc people, everybody just wants to burn the system to the ground. That is not your typical Portland citizen. Yesterday, we had the Portland Marathon. They run by my building and everyone's going, woo, and there's cowbells and party horns and everybody. It was so beautiful yesterday that everybody wanted to hug the city. And I was on the rooftop of a building with a beautiful family blending their lives with an engagement party, and we were celebrating. Because every day in Portland is like every day everywhere else in America. I went to a karaoke birthday party on Saturday night. Right. I'm going to Low Bar Corral tonight and tomorrow night. I'm going to go grocery shopping. I'm going to walk around my neighborhood. One things I'm not doing, though, Hal, we need to tell the kids. I'm not doing my podcast anymore. The Tara Show was canceled on Friday. Just so everybody knows. The Tara Show was canceled on Friday. I learned about it on Saturday. Hal and I had a really great conversation about my next steps professionally. And so for now, I would just and I'm not going to say anything negative because adults don't burn bridges. I would like everyone to just sign up for my Substack, whether you can pay for it or not. And also my YouTube. It's time to grow my YouTube. I only have I have a little over 1,000 subscribers right now on YouTube. And I'm just trying to grow all of this organically because I'm just going to be out here doing it on my own until someone else is like, hey, let me give you a lot of money to make your book into a TV series. So we're going to do that. Yeah. Thank you, Marcia, for the $1.99. So that's what we're doing. I'm not begging. I'm not pleading. You do what you do, you. I would love for everyone to share the link for my book, TaraDublinRocks.com. Just sharing and caring and doing what we do on our side as I continue to advocate for the truth at all times. And remember, I don't care who the truth is about, Hal. I really don't. And if Bill Clinton was all over the Epstein files, you probably know it by now. But anyway, yes, canceled, Kat. Yes, we were canceled. Well, it's money. It all just comes down to money. Everything is a financial decision, not a personal decision. And I, of course, being me and the sensitive, caring, feeling human that I am, take everything personally, but I'm trying. to not. And
Yeah,
so I
okay.
will be
I'm gonna,
expanding my
yep.
personal media empire.
Good.
You know, we're
Yeah,
going to grow
I will
organically and
say,
do our deal. I came up with a better name for my thing, though. I
okay.
liked yours.
Uh-huh.
Yours was good. I'm going to call it Tara Tells the Truth. Because again, alliteration.
Sure.
And as you know, I care about the truth more than anything. And it
Sure.
can't, because Hal's suggestion, Friends, was great. It was like 10 minutes with Tara, and we are going to pop in and pop out. And I can still do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not always going to give you 10 minutes. I might give you 60 seconds of, hey, I'm standing in front of this place and I'm getting pizza. I'm going to go visit my friend Doug Adams in a couple of days to go to his restaurant. He came in third on Top Chef.
Right.
I don't remember what
Nice.
season it was. But famous people live in Portland. They can live anywhere. They could choose to live anywhere. And they choose to live here.
Can I?
Look,
That's
is that the
look,
crater?
Yeah.
Where
This
can
is
I
a
find
this
that?
is a li-
Can I
this
get
is a live
directions?
shot. This is a live shot. I'm just tired of the bullshit. This is a
See, the problem is there
yeah.
are people who be like, no, I totally believe that.
That totally happened.
That's
right.
all that's left of Portland is this, like the
Mhm.
Stand or something. Like we're just gonna get to
Mhm.
Vegas by walking through giant craters in the ground. It's insanity, and it's again. Everyone is welcome to follow me on Twitter at Tara Dublin Rocks, because all I have been doing since Trump started this bullshit with Portland is showing the truth about Portland. And
Mhm.
again, if you can show me, MAGA people, the crimeless utopia where you live here on planet Earth. Show me every square inch of the perfect utopia.
Hashtag
Like
Go
on the
Portland.
Truman Show. I don't know.
Mhm.
Please. The perfect utopia where you live, where everybody has a great big beautiful house and nobody is I don't know, without a home, or isn't mentally ill. Nobody's food insecure. Everything's beautiful and clean and perfect, and everybody has so much money in the bank that they don't really have to worry if they lose their podcast with no notice. Shit like that. It's just show me where you live. Right? I'm trying all of this. Like, if you
Right.
think this is a great idea, if you think Trump invading a city in the United States of America with troops is a great idea, invite him to your city. We don't need him in Portland. You can have him. And by the way, the judge has ruled that Trump can't send any National Guard here.
Yeah.
Not from any state. None.
Right.
None. You're done. And can I share the most delicious fact about this judge? Because there's something that's missing from this story. Everybody in the chat, if you take nothing away from our discussion today, take this and share it widely as though it was a box of chocolates. The judge who ruled on Trump, Judge Karen Immergut, was the second judge on this case. The original judge was asked to recuse so that
Right.
Judge Immergut could be assigned to this case because she is a Trump appointee. But even
Right.
better, Trump thought she would be a slam dunk because she was fully vetted by the Heritage Society.
Yeah. Foundation. Yes.
Give me that. Give me that.
Yeah.
Because that is the
That-
truth that
that-
she
that goes
really
to-
thought she was going to be
I-
like, I mean, you know what he thought. She was
That-
going to be like, go ahead and insurrection all you want in Portland. I'm with you. And
Yep.
she was like, fuck you. And here's this quote from James Madison. And don't even try it. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous
Yeah.
and glorious. Trump appointed and said, you're done. I love
Right.
it. I love it so much. Women are going to end Trump. I've said this unilaterally. Women are stepping up every time to end him. It's great. She
Look,
was like,
I'm a big fan.
You did
of,
what to my order?
I'm a big fan of your soft gel sexism when it comes to it, because all I can think of is Candace Owens and
I'm a
Megyn
fan.
Kelly and all the ones that are
Not
running
those women. Democratic.
No.
But see, this isn't even a Democratic woman. This is an American woman who stepped up and did the job she was assigned to do, which is rule fairly on a decision. And the United States could not show any cause as to why they would want to send National Guard troops into into Portland.
Right.
And the AG, in his statement last night, he was like, "You can't play whack-a-mole with the United States. You can't.
Mhm.
You can't go here and you can't. That's not how it works." And
Mhm.
again, at the root of this is that he's covering up the Epstein files. And please tell me you've shared the video of him dancing on the Navy ship in that sundowning ridiculousness.
No, we're gonna do the whole
speech that he
Navy.
gave
I'm gonna give
yesterday.
the whole Navy speech today. Yeah, I'm doing that tonight.
Right.
And by the
So
way,
that was very 25th Amendment adjacent
oh
material
yeah,
there.
that's what I said. Hold on.
That's not how it works.
Yes, that's right. Welcome to the game show that everybody's playing, whether they know it or not. That's right. Our winner today is Donald J. Trump, because he doesn't understand the law even when it's handed to him on a silver platter. That's right.
That's not how it works.
All right. Yeah, I created my own theme
That's
song.
right. I
for
love
the game
it.
show.
It's so positive and peppy, like
Isn't
the
it?
Taylor Swift album. That
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, all right. A couple of things.
Yes.
One is, and this is, to that point of like, who's going to draw attention to the fact that, Trump is he's entering swiftly the find out phase. I would argue that it's debatable when the find out phase starts in any given situation. It's almost like there should be a coin that you flip and go, what's today's day? It's today's fuck around. Okay. And then, find out. It seems, or there's a clock that just magically ticks over everyone's heads like a Nickelback video with it that says, one day it just counts down to 0 and it's find out time.
I think it's in the morning they fuck around, but by sunset they have found out because they're just so bad at this.
Well, speaking of sundowning, we'll get to that in a moment. But his old friend Rupert Murdoch, who had a mystery meeting where he was able to call the vice president out to his farm and give him a pat on the back and a mint and a sit on his lap and promises of something, God knows what. To basically come back and go, release all the Epstein files today. They have the Wall Street Journal has this opinion out today. The coming Trump tariff bailout. Farmers and others with political clout will get a government subsidy or a carve out. You knew it was coming. As President Trump's tariffs damage farmers and businesses across the U.S., the victims are besieging the administration for relief. The long lines of the Commerce and Agriculture departments are the latest proof of self-destructive tariff folly. Soybean farmers got fucked in that Argentinian deal. The Argentinians signed it as soon as the prices went up here, or we did a tariff on them. They signed a deal with the Chinese, and Trump had just bailed them out to the $20 billion, basically to kickstart the crypto farms that Don Jr. uses down there. That's what it was for, to keep it, because the power is subsidized by the government, and so they backed up the government subsidies with $20 billion of taxpayer money. And in return, Argentina made a deal with China and bought and sold them. Let's see. Yeah, we $20 billion worth, almost exactly the same number. But U.S. Soybean exports to China totaled 218 million bushels through August this year, down sharply from 985 million bushels under Biden. Can I just put it that way? Can we
Unreal.
say stop saying 2024?
Unreal.
Can we say under Biden? Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Would this be the same Wall Street Journal that confirmed Trump's signature on the Epstein letter? And
yep.
no one's talking about that.
Where's that $10 billion lawsuit go? Well, that just kind of fucking evaporated, didn't it? So
he invaded Portland instead.
that's right.
Again, everything's a distraction from Epstein. Everything.
Yeah.
He's just hurting American farmers at the same time, as well as all other Americans. And when you're talking about the find out, MAGA is finding out because their grocery prices have gone up. Their their insurance premiums for their healthcare are about to are tripling as we speak. They are not able to pay rent. They are not able to. I mean, it's happening to them, and they want to deny that it's happening to them because they can't possibly believe the dear leader lied, or they thought somehow that only these things were going to happen to liberals. A lot of liberal farmers in the Midwest growing soybeans to export. So, it's incredibly frustrating watching them be okay with their own destruction, because maybe it's not happening to them today, but eventually
Well,
the
yeah,
poorly performing red states are always going to be hit harder in a
I mean,
situation like
it seems
this.
like they're up against one particular element, which is that to criticize any of these situations, they have to admit that Trump is wrong and that there's something wrong with him, right? Like
Right,
that's
of course.
that's where they're stuck. So in many ways, like either they bought into this whole lie and they just are all in on it because they find it politically useful temporarily because they're dealing with like
Mhm.
he basically drove away all the Republicans. The only Republicans who are voting like soft Republicans that are voting at all anymore are voting with their local representative if they believe that, well, okay, I like the immigration stuff, or I like this one thing, but or they're big abortion opponents, but everything else they're
Mhm.
like keeping their nose down and basically ignoring everything. Um, can I point out also that there was a judge in, I believe it was, let me check, South Carolina. I was about to say
I
North
think it's
Carolina.
South Carolina, and
Yeah,
this is abhorrent, and
yeah.
that's why Judge Immergut must be protected at all costs now because she and her family barely got out of there. Her
Hmm.
grandchildren were in there,
Yep. Her
and,
husband had to
3 people
jump
had
from
to
the
be
second floor.
hospitalized.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
and I just hope there weren't any pets in there. This shit needs to stop, and
yeah.
we need to start using our words again. You wanna fight with words, that's great. Nobody's house explodes if you say, "I don't like your politics."
Yeah.
This goes beyond anything that should be within the realm of acceptable and normal, and once again, let me
Hmm.
say, as I did around the Charlie Kirk thing, political violence is never the answer. It
Hmm.
is never the solution. It is never an option for me personally, and you could go through my entire Twitter life and be like, you can make jokes off the cuff like, "Oh, every day's fine to punch a Nazi." That's different than this.
Hmm.
This is a real family. Okay, it's not just the judge. You have to think about the family, the
Hmm.
neighbors, the repercussions of what you're doing to this and what signal this sends. And it's just stop it. Okay, I can disagree with my political enemy without wishing them any bodily harm. And I do not know how many times I have said just on this show, no one person should lose their lives over Donald Trump. Not one. Not the people who didn't vote for him, not the people who did. Nobody should be targeted because they're not MAGA. It doesn't make any this takes the cult beyond,
Hmm.
and I am really upset with the lack of any sort of accountability on this from the media. I want them screaming about this. It's time for that
Well, I mean,
because this
okay.
isn't just we can't just keep reporting on it without
It's the top
pointing
story
to
on
this
it's
pattern.
the yeah, I know, but it's the top story on Daily Beast right now. It's being covered on MSN.
Uh-huh.
They're definitely and I got to tell you, part of the reason was because it involved a fire. So people like it's when
Well,
one
yeah,
of
it's
the
eye-catching, right?
yes, and that literally
So
that will draw more eyeballs to it than a shooting or something else. Like it's just the nature of video and how people watch stuff. They were talking about how like users were stacking on like a couple days before her house was set fire to, allegedly, because again
yeah.
we don't know the full story quite yet.
Wow.
But but rain holy hellfire on these judges who interfere with the executive branch. Like all these people were like, this judge's civil rights will not stand for a state court judge's nasty nullification of our federal voting laws. That's Harmeet Dillon, and that's
Oh, she's
them saying
awful.
rain holy hell on them. Yeah, MAGA is already publicly posting calls for violence against Judge Diane Goodstein a few weeks ago. May all your evil
Could it
wishes
be
and evil
that she
deeds.
also has a Jewy last name? Sounds
Hmm.
Jewy, right? So it's
Right.
easier to Jew. Yeah, please. Somebody tweeted to me that all Jewish Democratic women are demons. I'm a demon, so
Hmm.
that's the demon. Capo Nosferatu
Hmm.
is the demon. Stephen Miller
Yeah.
is
So
the
Stephen
demon.
Miller. Yeah.
Okay, he was a
Like
resurrected succubus, and
I gotta
I
say, there's a
cannot with him.
problem. The problem that Republicans have is that is there political violence across the spectrum, of course, but the volume, effectiveness, and deadliness of the political violence is heavily weighted on the right. Is less targeted on is less targeted on the right. For example, if you want to one for one, and I wouldn't do this, but this is the single count. You have Tyler Robinson allegedly shooting Charlie Kirk, allegedly killing him because of his hate speech, because he was a right winger, and because Tyler Robinson viewed himself as, a person whose rights were being disenfranchised or the partner of someone whose rights were being disenfranchised by the speaking of Charlie Kirk, and therefore left-wing violence kills Charlie Kirk. That's what you want to go with. Fine. That the next time we have, what was the guy in I think it was in New Mexico, walked into the Walmart, or the guy in the that walked into the grocery store in the Northeast, a Hispanic grocery store, and opened fire, killed 28 people. The body counts stack way higher on the right because it's not about individuals with them. It's about human beings, just kinds of people. It's based largely on bigotry. And so they act out towards large groups of humans, even if that's political bigotry, meaning Democrats need to be wiped out, instead of one targeted assassination, which is wrong and bad and not good, and I'm against it.
It's all that.
But the idea that somehow the problem with the right is that they're going to run into these kind of situations. You're going to say the left is responsible for all this violence, but the right wingers who are fomenting this kind of violence aren't going to stop. As long as they feel justified, and as long as they feel supported by Trump, and they hear him saying the same shit about Democratic governors that they say, and calling them scum and inhuman, and that is how that's how the body count weight is going to go. They're going to feel justified.
I know, and again, we're looking at these incidences, and if it's one person who blew up the house, or there's a couple of people who conspired to blow up the judge's house, that's points to the bigger issue of they basically feel like they're taking orders from Trump to commit these violent acts to remove his enemies. And that, they feel like they're these foot soldiers for him, which is very culty. And, like Nick Sorter, that guy who was in Portland, can't stop telling on himself. And he literally tweeted, he tweeted that Trump texted him, saw you on TV. You're doing a great job for us. What now? You're admitting he sent you there. You're admitting you're only there because he sent you. We are seeing that. That's what I want the media to report on. They're covering it, but there's more to it than just this got blown up. There's the why behind it. There's the reason behind it. And there's the trail that connects from these incidences of violence, and that goes all the way back to the White House. And if you don't believe me, look at what the White House sends out as their messaging. They're sending out memes of Democrats photoshopped with mustaches and
sombreros.
And sombreros. Okay.
Yeah.
They're tweeting xenophobic, racist memes. That's what the White House, official White House Twitter account is doing. That the children who are operating that Twitter account are embarrassing us on the global stage, and MAGA thinks it's fucking hilarious because it's like remedial after school breakfast club dipshittery.
And part of it is we react the way they want us to.
That's not how America ends.
I know that, but that's
that's not where we're going.
That's why do they do it? Because it works. And if you have...
so we have to find something that works.
No, we need to stop allowing that to work. I'm not going to make inverse racist memes against them, and racism on racism doesn't help.
No, that's not that's exactly what I meant, though. What you just said.
Right, yeah.
Is finding a way to shut it down before it gets worse.
Well, I would argue that you have to find a way to mock them for even trying to do that, instead of getting outraged. And because that's, again... They don't feel shame. You do. They don't, you're never going to appeal to the moral anchor that causes shame in people that would post something like that. It's not going to happen.
Right.
But you can make them think it's ineffective and they will stop. That's the only option. As outrageous and horrifying and awful and disgusting as it is, that's exactly what they want you to say. And if you cannot say it, that's how you end it. That's the ironic part of all this, is that there's, he's rage farming. That's what this is. Yeah. Let me show you a clip from the Navy gathering yesterday.
Oh my God.
Where,
so embarrassing. By the way,
yes?
people in the chat are asking how you do that. I can tell you that there are people down at the ice facility dressed in giant inflatable costumes. There's a
Yes.
great one a video that went viral of someone in a giant frog costume, and the ice agents are backing away. So it's like our giant inflatable frog beat the Pepe, because I'm pretty sure we're still going to do it, but right now I think we're just talking about it. But Friday we're supposed to get people to go down to the ice facility dressed in the most ridiculous Halloween costumes we can find, so that every time one of these influencers turned around, there's a giant unicorn wearing an apron, or whatever. So that's part of it. It's mocking
Absolutely.
you because there's actually nothing.
Can you
for you to be
imagine?
doing
Wait,
here.
can you imagine the footage if the people that were down there mocking ICE were not dressed in all black with their face covered, looking like they're in a fucking Rage Against the Machine video, but it was a bunch of people in like
Right.
those inflatable sumo outfits fighting in front of the place?
Yes, and that's happening.
Right.
My friend Lisa said we should all go down there wearing either Epstein or Trump masks.
Yeah.
And that should be it.
Yeah.
So that every time they turn their camera, it's Epstein and Trump together, which I love.
And
I don't know where I would get
you should
one.
cover
And which
yourself
one would
in
you want on your
paper.
face?
Cover yourself in paper and just write Epstein files all over the pages, and then stand there
Ooh, I like that.
and then just go up and try to get interviewed. Find somebody who's walking around with a microphone and going, and then ask them, "How can you see me? I'm invisible. No one can find me.
I don't exist. I'm a hoax.
Yeah, right. I'm a hoax.
I love that,
why would you
Hal.
interview a hoax? Right.
I love that.
so
Oh,
then,
that's
you
gonna
know.
be my costume.
Yeah.
That's
So
it. Oh, man,
listen.
you know what? Watch
Time
this fucking guy.
passages.
Be politically correct anymore. And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head. Remember that? And please remember, I wrote
Yes.
about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so we got to take a little credit.
He thinks
'cause
this
nobody
happened
else is
last
gonna
year.
Give it to me, you know?
He thinks he told Pete Hegseth about this a year before 9/11.
The whole story. They don't give you credit. just
Pete
take it
Hegseth, I
yourself.
believe, was in high school.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said there, real quick?
They give it to
No.
me, you know, the old
Say it
story.
again.
They don't give you credit, just take it yourself.
If they don't give you credit, just take it yourself.
That's
It was
his
the
whole
US
life
Navy
in
that
a
dumped
little
his
throwaway
wretched
moment.
corpse off the decks of the Carl Vinson to sink into the dark abyss.
Notice the look on his face. Ugh. The dark abyss. Ugh. Is that what's going to happen to me?
That's where you
Ugh.
belong, in the dark
Right,
abyss.
right.
Yes.
Well, that's where he
Yes,
is.
You are headed
He's
straight toward
he
the
currently
dark
is in the
abyss. That's
in
where
the
you
dark
live.
abyss. Yeah. So
Okay. So obviously we know who got bin Laden because we've seen the photos of
yeah.
all of them sitting, watching the footage like, oh my God, what is going to happen? And I hope none of our people die. And Obama's in the room with Hillary Clinton and everybody else. And they're all like, you weren't there, bitch. And he's acting like it happened last year. That's the thing. If you listen to him, he's like, last year I wrote about a man named Osama bin
I didn't
Laden.
like him. I don't know what page.
Year?
I don't know what book it was. I don't know what the page was. You'll have to. Somebody will check it. I'm sure these people would not. I don't know.
I don't know exactly how old Pete Hegseth is, but I do know he was not living in the public eye on 9/11. Like, we did not know who he was. He was not on Fox News.
He was a 20-year-old college student at the time. He was not.
So there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no there there.
Again, no there. But again, also, Trump said a year ago. A year ago.
Yeah.
You were what? Fighting off
Yeah.
accusations of you were losing to E. Jean Carroll in court. That's what you were. Like, what were you doing a year ago? Paw. Just his brain is rancid oatmeal with just those tiny raisins that are like
I don't
would get
know.
stuck
I
in
didn't
your.
like him. You got
Hey,
basically.
Pete.
This is
Pete,
honestly
remember that
what he's
time
trying
I
to.
called you?
What he's trying to do, honest to God, he's trying to make the case that Obama didn't get him. He warned people of him, and it just came true, and therefore he's kind of responsible. He basically ordered the hit. on Osama bin Laden. That's
Sure
where
he
his
did.
brain is going.
A year before anything happened, a year before 9/11, I can't personally recall. Maybe there's footage out there somewhere.
Hmm.
I can't ever recall anyone talking about Osama bin Laden before that happened, before 9/11. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention as much because
Not
I
in
was
the
a new
public
mother and
eye,
I had
not much. No.
I not really, no. And
Yeah.
I don't recall Donald Trump ever talking about Osama bin Laden specifically. I just remember him bragging that his buildings were the tallest left in New York after 9/11, which is not true. So, and that he went down there and personally helped try to clean up at Ground Zero, which he never did. But you know who did? Hillary Clinton. Thank you so much for paying attention to what's true. It's that, and this is again the frustration that he gets to just blather, and the media's like, anyway, like no one
Hmm.
cleans up after him. Like no one caretakes the truth, which is why we need a Democratic press secretary and a daily Democratic press briefing. Especially right now would be great.
Hmm.
Especially right now when we can tell the truth about Portland on the daily. I don't want to be the Democratic press secretary. I think Sherry Jacobus would be excellent at it. But yeah, I believe that if there were somebody trustworthy out there from the, the whole unifying message on the left that we need, that could start with a daily press briefing from a Democratic press secretary saying, "Hey, our unifying message today is 25th Amendment now,
Hmm.
25th Amendment now," and I think that we could be close to that because the Republicans have really no good way out of this situation. They really
No.
don't. Right? So if they let you, 'cause I heard you saying earlier, nature's taken its course, and it is. His veins are winning this battle. He's
Oof.
losing the battle of his veins. And
Yeah.
that congestive heart failure is something. When he was the other, he said to somebody, "I have a bigger heart than you do." Yeah, you have congestive heart failure. Your
It's
heart is like
swollen.
8 times the size of what it should be.
Hmm.
Donnie drive through. So, like all of this stuff and his revenge fuck against anybody with the perceived slights and the self-victimization that's trickled down to MAGA. It's sad and it's pathetic. And one of the other things that I'm doing is I'm trying to remind people of who they were before Trump poisoned their minds. Like Republicans in Congress. I'm like, you didn't talk like this 10 years ago. You just didn't. You didn't.
Well,
You
they didn't have the voter
behave like
base
this on
pushing
social
them in that
media.
direction, and they didn't. And
But they
again,
also didn't.
I gotta say, I keep bringing it back to us, and we're getting near the end of the hour, and everybody needs. Do you have a URL for your YouTube page yet? Officially, is it Tara
I mean, I
Dublin?
have a YouTube. It's at Tara Dublin Rocks on
There you go.
YouTube.
There you go.
So
And then
there's
your
your YouTube
Substack.
/ at Tara Dublin Rocks. The Substack is taradublin.substack.com.
There you
I'm
go.
still across your socials at Tara Dublin Rocks. The only difference is that on Instagram, it's Tara Dublin Rocks, the number 1.
There you go.
And my book is The Sound of Settling a Rock and Roll Love Story. And before we wrap, I just want to interject one bit of positivity for anybody who might be worried. My cats are not going to starve. I'm not going to starve. No one's going to let us starve. So I don't want to I don't want people to have the false impression that like I'm taking food out of my cat's mouth to eat. We're not rationing
Right.
cans of, food here. That is not the issue. I'm just trying to grow this authentic,
Yes.
my thing. But the other good thing that I'm leaning into right now, because I mentioned my book, my Senator Ron Wyden, his wife Nancy Wyden, owns the Strand bookstore in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron loves me. We're gonna have a nosh soon. So I'm just gonna slide a book across the table and be like, maybe your wife would like to read this book.
There you
Not
go.
pushing, just sharing something
That's how it
crafted
works.
that
Yep.
people love and enjoy. A
We do
rock
have
and
some
roll
good.
love story to take you out of this terrible time.
That's right.
So
Here,
you
there's a little bit of good news.
Yay, give
that
it.
just came out a couple seconds ago. Let's hear it from
Yeah.
the man
So I'm
himself.
going to take some time
Oh.
off and think about what to do next. I feel like,
Bye.
me, my ego will drag me back in front of a camera before too long. You know what I'm like. I'm going to take this opportunity to cultivate a deeper relationship with God, to
Yeah.
reflect on what's happening in this culture,
and meet with my attorneys over my 8 rape cases.
Right.
and to see how,
Right.
what they say is
Yeah,
where
well.
what you have to offer meets what the world needs. And if I have nothing to offer that the world needs, then that will take care of
Bye.
itself, won't it? I'll just
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
One would hope.
I
yeah.
will.
maybe get a little cabin somewhere.
You know
Also-
what?
Also,
You
by the
what?
way,
You and Andrew Tate can
Yeah,
go
right.
hang out in Mar-a-Lago,
Yeah.
innit?
more like Prince
Fuck
Andrew. But
Boy,
and be with my beautiful, beautiful
I
children.
mean, he can go with
Anyway,
Andrew Tate
so
and Prince Andrew. I don't
I'm
give
gonna
a
take some
fuck.
time off. We'll see if the world needs my
Bye.
voice. It
See ya.
will find a way
No
of
one.
getting it. Well, it's not like a
No one needs
say
the
it
voice.
ain't so, Rusty Trombone. Off he goes. I guess, yeah. I mean, it's
Take
got to be.
all of your mediocrity brothers with you. Can you take Jack
Oh.
Piece of Shit and Cat Turd and Benny Johnson and Tim
This
Cesspool
motherfucker,
and
I give it a week, and
Matt
he's
Walsh?
selling
Bye.
he's selling private subscriptions to talk to him on Zoom to like the more sycophantic of his followers.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, fucking wanker.
The grift. The
Fucking
grift
wanker.
is
What wanker?
endless. You
What fucking wanker?
people
Yeah.
who accuse of Democratic influencers grifting. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I have never bought followers. Okay, there are people who falsely inflate their follower accounts and do shit like that. If I did that, I would not only have 109,000 followers on Twitter. And then you have your Lindy Lees who are like, opportunity on the right, sure, I'll take that. It's shit. It's grifter shit like that that give good people a bad name. People, you know what? You don't want to do anything else. Just find somebody who's telling the truth and just share their truth. It doesn't even have to be the two of us. Find somebody that you believe is telling the truth, and please just. That's what matters.
Right.
Not his fucking shit. You know, the truth is free. And anybody if I end up going and working in a restaurant again to pay the bills, that's great. My truth is free. Nobody has to pay me to do the right thing by my country. Okay? You don't. I'm still going to do this, right? I'm still going to tell the truth about Portland. I'm still going to share it. I'm still literally going to take my phone and walk the streets of my town and be like, are we war ravaged? And people would be like, no. I met a lovely family from Burlington, Vermont on Friday. They had been in Portland, just first visit, 6 of them piled out of an SUV. It was like watching, I was like, what, who's coming out next? On Hawthorne Boulevard, had just arrived, gotten like a tour of the city in this SUV. They like rented this SUV and got a personal tour, and then they went shopping. And I stopped them. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, so what do you think? And they're like, this is such a beautiful city. We have no idea what they're talking about on the news. We could see the mountains and we could see this, and everyone's been so nice already. And I said, how long have you been here? And they said 6 hours. And I said, what so far? They were like, we already had a really great burger at some place and the airport's gorgeous. They're like, we have no idea what people are talking about. So it's real. And, like the reality of your daily life, wherever, if you're listening to this, watching this, just open your front door and take look at the reality of the normalcy that's outside your front door. It's the same normal reality that we are living with here. It's the same. Donald Trump should not be invading any American city, and nobody should be tolerating that or being disappointed that his effort to invade Portland didn't work. Like, you should not be disappointed by that. You should be excited by that, because that's democracy in action. And if you're someone who's encouraging the invasion of American cities because you're a fascist, I'm going to give you 2 choices. Get the fuck out of America because we don't like fascists here. Or secondly, invite the National Guard to invade your city and see how your neighbors feel about that. Because you don't need them. We don't need that. You should be advocating for the full release of the Epstein files. That's what you should be doing. You should be asking why he shut down the government instead of having Mike Johnson swear in Adelita and having our 218th vote to get the Epstein files released. They won't ask those questions because they don't have any natural curiosity. And they won't ask those questions because they don't seem to have any self-respect. People have self-respect. You don't let anyone lie to you. You don't let anyone grift you. It's a fool me once, fool me twice kind of a situation. You want to keep being fooled? That is a choice you are making in your life. I would ask that you hang out with people who care about the future of this country, which includes every single citizen within our borders. So I don't care who you vote for. I want you to live your life. That's our unspoken social contract here in America. And one of the things that we're saying about Portland over and over and over again, because I heard this at our peaceful protest last Sunday, the 28th. Portland is a city of neighbors who take care of each other. If you're quoting Patton Oswalt, Portland is a bookstore surrounded by a city, right? That's what it is. We are a city of neighbors who take care of each other, but that is what our country should be. Our country is a country of neighbors who take care of each other. If you're not a neighbor who takes care of your neighbors, you're not really fully, authentically living a life as a proper American. You think, whatever you're doing, tweak it just a bit. and put some goodness into the world instead. That's what I'm trying to do. And as I said to you on the phone over the weekend, good people attract good people. That's why you and I are in each other's lives. You became my friend a very, very, very long time ago.
Mhm.
You were the first person to put me on a podcast. You were the first person to invite me on a political podcast and be like, hey, you have stuff to say.
Yep.
Good people lift each other up instead of trying to knock each other out of the way to get the money or get the glory or get what. I don't care. You know what? I happen to know that a lot of the stuff that I was finding on Twitter and sending to my friend in Ron Wyden's office got to the AG, got to the governor, helped make decisions. They found out what was actually going on at ICE. I don't need any of the credit for that. Like they'll never. No, I'm not that Nick Sorter guy. I'm not going to publicly be like, make it about me. I just want people to know that there are good people out here who are very, very willing to continue the fight for democracy. And the more of us, the better. So if anyone wants to tell like Matt or Lawrence to be like focused on, I want the MSN, like I understand MSNBC is preaching to the choir. It'd be nice if somebody showed Scott Jennings the reality of Portland because he's not interested, right?
Well, I think that, here's the goal would be like, come to Portland. You're not allowed to go in the 2-block area around the ICE facility. Then you could do a report. Like because we know what that looks like.
Great.
There's tons of cameras down there. If you're going to tell me that Portland, #RipPortland, if Portland is a failed state, then show me the rest of it, not just that same 2-block area. That, by the way, is being ratcheted up on purpose, right? Also, the Halloween costume idea is a great plan.
Love it. I love it. I'm going to share it with all of my friends organizing the next King's March, which is October 18th.
Black Bloc suffers from the same ego building bullshit problem that gun owners have, that all guns are black and look tough and scary, and it automatically puts fear in somebody. And so you're using that manipulation point as a threat on anybody. If they see you walking down the street with your face covered, all dressed in black, you're in the act of terrorizing someone for political purposes. Even if you think it's the right people, that's what you're doing. Don't pretend you're not doing it. Own it. And if you have to go to jail because of it, go to fucking jail because of it. Live up to your standards. But the idea that you're going to skulk around and chuck shit at people randomly in a crowd, and we don't know if you're real or if you're fucking Jack Posobiec playing dress up, in the same way that like every time fucking Patriot Front would show up someplace, like right-wingers everywhere started yelling "Fed" at them because they made them look bad. So they were yelling "Fed" at them, and the chances that those guys were fed was 0. But they didn't trust them. It didn't matter. Like these people were so ready because they knew it would be used against them, so they stiff-armed it. And that's got to be part of it. Again, all the people who are in Antifa show up in Halloween costumes. You could still wear a mask, I guess. But stop with this Guy Fawkes shit. It's not macho.
And that seems to be the vibe here in Portland too. A lot of the what I see on Facebook, what I see on Instagram, everyone's like, let's just, it's about embarrassing them. It's about shutting down this negative narrative from them because honestly for them, and also pointing out all of their bullshit footage is manufactured at night because it looks way more dramatic. During the day, there's barely anyone down there. No one's really kicking up a fuss. Most people are just going for their annual yearly check-in. Yes, we're still working. Yes, we're still living here. And they leave with no incident. But then at night, that's when the laser pointers from the Fox embedded person on the roof are being shut, whatever. What's the word for a laser pointer? Where you shine them, pointing them down, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all manufactured, right? So it is all about continuing to share the truth across, Blue Sky is the echo chamber of, Democratic truth, but you still have to do it there. Republicans go where Republicans are. Republicans post on Instagram. So that's a great place to share visuals with Republicans.
Right.
But again,
I stream my show on Rumble just because it's free. But
hi, Rumble kids. Hi. By the way, our t-shirt game today is dual on point.
Yeah.
Yours is magic. Is magic. Mine. I'm going to continue to wear this shirt today. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to lead with my Judaism. So that's on a final note because I know we're over.
Yeah.
I went to temple over this last week for the first time in like 40 years. Because my friend Lisa, who works for Ron Wyden, we were going to go down to the ICE facility together on Wednesday night just to kind of just see what was going on. And then she said, you know what? I really feel like I need to go to temple and hear Kol Nidre, which is at sundown the night before Yom Kippur. That's the tradition. That's the way you begin Yom Kippur, and it's
Yeah,
the
it's a holiday.
holiest of days. It's a very big deal. And so I was like, you know what? That sounds right. That sounds right and good. And she's like, I really need my community. And we go to the oldest synagogue in Oregon, which happens to be in my neighborhood. It's gloriously beautiful. My representative Bonamici was there. It's where Ron Wyden goes when he's in town, but like lots of local Democratic power Jews were there. This judge, that Democratic person, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But the big takeaway was, and I shared it on my Substack, the rabbi gave an amazing sermon at the end. And of course, because it's Portland, we have a lesbian rabbi.
Ron Wyden,
she was
not Ron White. Ron Wyden.
Ron Wyden.
The senator
Wyden,
from
W-Y-D-E-N.
Oregon. It's okay. Go ahead.
W-Y-D-E-N. A mensch. Anyway, what she said at, within her sermon was about how to be a Jew right now when a lot of people are wanting us to be quiet. Because the Israel thing, they think we support genocide and we don't. And just that's a whole other thing for another time. She said, as Jews, it is not our responsibility to fight anti-Semitism, because that's what they're trying to push us into the darkness. It's not our responsibility to fight anti-Semitism. It's our responsibility to lead with the light of Judaism, to shine the light on truth. So that's what I'm doing with my Judaism. I can be an atheist and still be very proud of my culture and my people. So I'm going to be leading with the light of Judaism.
Yeah,
and shining
you got to
the light
explain
on the
that
truth
to me
about
one day.
what is happening.
As somebody who's not an atheist, you'll have to explain that to me one day.
You
but-
cannot. I believe in the humanity of my community rather than a higher power. That's all. It's the strength within community that is real and
Adorable.
palpable.
Right.
I don't believe in a higher
Welcome to how
power guiding.
welcome to how
I don't.
Well, welcome to
That's
how
me.
I feel about every human being on the planet, even the ones I don't like. Yeah.
I'm just saying, be a better human. I wear that shirt often as well. It just says, be a better
try,
human.
but
We
I'm
can all do
almost
that.
maxed out. I'm just kidding.
We can all
Yeah.
do it though every day.
Yes.
Small acts of resistance all add up. I love you guys. I appreciate
Yeah.
Sparklers
Appreciate it.
so
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah, we'll see you next
I don't
time.
have anything specific
Yeah.
to promote, so I'll just see you next Monday.
Good luck and go
Bye,
build the
guys.
stuff,
Thank
and
you
we'll
so
send
much.
people over. And then at some point, maybe you could schedule one of your shows after mine, and we can just do a raid and that kind of thing, which is how we do it. So
I love
think about
this.
that.
I love this. Halloween costumes for all. See you later.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye.